Blog Talk Radio.
We are the UR Tennis Network. Our mission is to be the voice of tennis. We enlist a team of passionate enthusiasts to promote our sport. We strive to bring interesting perspectives on the many spins of tennis. Our goal is to provide the learners of our sport with current news and information from many angles. We seek active participation from communities interested in tennis, but tennis is not interested in them. We are expanding our outreach. Tennis is a true lifetime sport that needs to be talked about, and the UR Tennis Network pledges to pursue this idea relentlessly.
Good morning and welcome to the Parenting Aces radio show on Blog Talk Radio's UR Tennis Network. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, and today we have a very special guest. Former professional tennis player Andy Ram is with us to talk about his development through juniors into the pro circuit and now his role with Pulse Play, which is a wearable device that keeps score, records match history, and creates a world international ranking system for all racket sports, not just tennis. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to chat with Andy today. Let me just give you a quick background on Andy's professional career. He is from Israel. He had a 16-year career in which he won the 2006 Wimbledon mixed doubles, the 2007 French Open mixed doubles, and the 2008 Australian Open men's doubles championships. He also won several championships throughout the tour. He represented Israel in 3 Olympic Games and 4 Davis Cups and holds the record for the most performances on the Israeli Davis Cup team. Not only is Andy a phenomenal tennis player and now a phenomenal businessman, but he is also a phenomenal philanthropist, and he volunteers for a lot of organizations to improve the welfare of children worldwide. So we'll ask him a little bit about that as well. We have a short visit with Andy today, unfortunately, so I want to bring him on the air now and jump right in. So without further ado, Andy Ram. Andy, thanks so much for joining us on Parenting Aces.
Sure, Lisa. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So I know you're a busy guy, and so let's just jump right into the meat of this thing. I want to know what it was like growing up as a junior tennis player in Israel, a country that's not really known for athletics so much, more known for technology and innovations in agriculture and engineering and all of that. And here you are, this world-famous tennis player coming out of Israel. So talk a little bit about your background and how you got involved in the sport.
That's why I'm in technologies now, because I realize there is more money there in sport. No, just kidding. And it's the country of technology. No, but really, I grew up. I born in Uruguay. I was 5 when I moved to Israel with the family, and from the first day they put me into tennis. My father used to play soccer, and he got injured 3 times, 3 surgeries in his knees, and he decided that his son, myself, he wouldn't play soccer because he didn't want anybody to touch him. So he put me into tennis. He wanted the net to be, between me and my opponent, so nobody can touch me. I won't get injured. So that was the reason. And I started play tennis from 5 to 14. I grew up at the tennis center in Jerusalem. And for I used to go and play for 1 hour, 1.5 hours. I grew up as one of the top juniors in Israel. I was not, so talented or tall. I was a little bit fat. I wasn't something special, but I was one of the good ones. I had good heart. I was fighting a lot. And when I was 14, I took the first crucial decision in my life, basically. I talked to my parents. I was almost 14. I took them, we sit in the kitchen, and I told them I want to leave home. And I left home for a sports institute. I knew that's the day that I'm going to transfer from an amateur player practicing 1 hour, 1.5 hours, as a hobby. And I take it to actually a profession. And starting in this institute, I started practicing for about 6-7 hours a day. And since, 14 to until almost a year, 6 months ago, and since I retired, I was practicing a lot, and I took it as a profession. So since a little kid, I knew exactly what my dream was, remembering myself sitting at home at the age of 7, 8, small kid, excited, watching on TV. They didn't show us that much of a tennis back then. I watched Edberg and Becker, the top players back then. And as a small kid, excited, and I said to myself, sitting on this bed, one day I want also to play Wimbledon. Just go and play Wimbledon. At the same time, when I was 7, 8, my father took me to the tennis center, Ramat Sharon, where they played Davis Cup, and I saw all our top guys, Amos Marzov, Shlomo Glickstein, Gilad Bloom, standing on the line. And I said, wow, Father, I talked to my dad, like, oh, my God, I just want to represent Israel one time in Davis Cup, just one time. I want to end the national anthem. And, and 15 years later, suddenly I won Wimbledon, like you said, and today I'm holding the record of 28 to 29 appearances in Davis Cup, most of every other player in Israel. So, as a small kid, it looks like a big dream. It's something that it's too big of a dream, like to dream of winning Wimbledon. But growing up and, you're going after your dream and running after it day in, day out, practice for hours. At the end of the day, those dreams can happen. And it doesn't matter if you are from the United States, from a giant empire, from France, Israel, Bulgaria. It doesn't matter. Swiss, it's not a huge country. And yet they have the best player in the world in the history of the game. So Belgium, they used to have the top females. Those are not big countries with not that much of a money, especially not with like sports culture, But it can happen in any place. When you work hard and you believe in yourself and you dedicate to what you do, at the end of the day, I really believe you can achieve it. And the difference between me and some other players, junior players, back when I grew up in Israel, I remember myself, as I said, I wasn't something special. I wasn't a big guy, a tall guy, I didn't have so many weapons or talent, but I had a big heart, which is also talent. Big heart. I mentally always looked strong. When I was practicing in the sports institute where I grew up, so we used to practice for 3 hours, for example. After the 3 hours, everybody went to the room, and I always stayed on court 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, just to serve a little bit more. The kids were laughing at me, hey, come on, what are you doing, let's go, 3 hours practice, it's enough. Well, it's right, it's enough, but I always wanted to do this extra because I felt I needed a little bit more, and now these 5 more minutes every day, at the end of my career, it's another 1 more year or 2 more years, which I was on court. So, those little things made a lot of change through my career, and I'm taking it obviously now, this character outside the tennis, trying to be dedicated to what I do, to love and enjoy what I've been doing, and that was like, something I was lucky to do. I always did something that I like and love to do, play tennis, be out there, perform, and I don't know, I always enjoyed it. And I can't lie and say everything was smooth. Everything went easy for me. Things were tough. I had some tough moments through the career as a young kid, and then growing up, and then when I became a professional tennis player, I had some tough times. If it's injuries, I lost my closest person in my life. It was my father. I lost him 10 years ago, which was like a big, huge part of my life. So I had some difficulties there, like some tough issues I had to deal with through all my career since I'm junior, and injuries that I suffered. But this character I'm talking about, I think that made the change, and that's it. This is basically in Andy Ram in 5 minutes, the professional career.
What do you attribute that inner drive to? Do you think it was something you were born with? Do you think it's something that your parents instilled in you? Or was it something that developed once you went to the institute?
And another thing I think I was lucky is I had good coaches always through all my life. I was lucky to have passionate coaches. These days, coaches, you don't see, especially in Israel, I'm talking about Israel, what I know, you don't see passionate coaches that take a kid and want to make him a player. They don't look on the private lessons, and they want to say, these days here, in this economically, it's tough. It's not that easy, So if you earn, like, for example, $10 working with a kid, or $100 working private. So most of the people will take the private, obviously, more money, and you need to pay at the end of the day bills. So you can't find too many passionate coaches that say, okay, I have a dream. Like the kid has a dream to be a professional tennis player. I have a dream to create a professional tennis player. I have this dream to take this kid, the 6, 7, 8 years old, and make him a champion. There are not too many dreamers, coaches like this. There are a lot of them that they're fed up from a career they had, or traveling around the world, or they wanna, as I said, pay the bill. So a lot of the players are coming out of a good coach, and I was lucky to have good coaches all my life, like coaches that were passionate, always work hard with me. I had like 3, 4 dominant coaches through my career that really, they put a stamp on me. At the end of the day, a coach is the most important thing in a kid's development. He remembers the coach forever. I remember my coach since I was 6 years old, and I respect him. And when I retired, I called him and I said, listen, I want to thank you, because a kid knows how to respect a good coach. I remember Marat Safin, one of the top players ever. He won a few Grand Slams, number 1 in the world. I remember a good friend of mine. I remember him telling me when he left Russia and he went to practice in Spain, he had this special coach that he put like day in, day out effort. He was for Safin everywhere. Safin grew up, he became a professional, took different coaches. At the end of the career, he gave him a lot of money because he respected the coach he used to practice with him when he was young. And this is something that a lot of the players, they know how to respect at the end of their career. They remember their coaches. So the coach has a big role on the kid's development, as well as a parent. A parent, I mean, is the one who's always need to be there to support, to encourage, to take him to the practices, to drive him to the tournament, to support, obviously, financially at the beginning, which is not easy. It's a lot of money. It's an expensive sport. When you grow up, when you become 14 years old and you start traveling, if it's in the States, all over the world, when you become 16, 18. So it's an expensive sport as well, and you need the support. You need to be there when your kid is losing a lot of matches. And a kid can't win all the time. Most of the kids, sometimes they are losing, most of them. And the parent need to be there and support, because the kid, the player is already down. So the parent has to be and always lift him up. He can't be there and go down and, you have to go and to sleep and to do and to say. So the parent need to be a parent, and it's very important. You need to trust the coach. You need to work together with the coach. That's something very important, that coaches need to work together with the parents together with the coaches. The parent can't be a coach, because you need to trust the coach. And it's something important that a lot of the parents these days, they forget, and they're always trying to look for other solutions to tell the kids how to play and what to play, and they forget to be a parent. And the kid needs a parent. He needs somebody to hug him, to support him, especially when he's down. Because when he's winning and everybody and all his friends are around him, so, I'm saying it as a joke, you don't need your parent. You're happy, you're there, but you need your father, you need your mother when it's tough. And so this is basically how my theory, like how I see things, how I grow up, how I see like top players growing up. And again, to be a professional tennis player, there are top 100 players in the world. There are 100 different ways of being a professional tennis player. There are different ways, right? But there are few things that are in common to all of them. Like they all work hard, they all enjoy what they do, they put a lot of effort, to achieve their dreams and goals. And I mean, there are few things that all tennis players are doing the same. And the rest, each one has his own way of practicing, of doing fitness, or like it's individual. So each one likes to eat different things or to sleep in different time. This is individuals, but I mean, there are common things that each athlete need to have, and to succeed. So yeah.
So
I mean, Melissa,
let me ask
stop
you.
me when you feel like I'm too excited. You stop me, because...
No, you're great. You're great. But
okay.
I wanted to ask you, because this theme of quality coaching has been very prevalent over my last few radio interviews, and I wanted to. What are the qualities that you think make an excellent coach? I mean, you said obviously that dedication to creating a top player. That's kind of the first thing, but that's the only thing. Okay.
That's the only thing, the most important. This is the 80-90%. I know many coaches They coach top players. They coach number one in the world. The coach of Juan Carlos Ferrero, the coach of Gustavo Kuerten, coach of Safin. I have many examples. Coach of Misha Yuzhny, for example, Boris, which wasn't number one in the world, top 10 for many examples of good coaches. They didn't know how to hold the racket. They just went there. They don't know how to almost hit the shot. Their technique is bad. Nobody teaches tennis the way they teach, but they have the heart of bigger than a lion. They protect their kid. They are there for the player. I mean, they are there to support him everywhere he goes and play in tournament. And he's like second father. He's treating them like a second father. Djokovic, for example, now you have Marian Vaida. He's like a second father. He took him as not a little kid, but took him when he was 16, 18, and he's growing him up like, second kid, like another son, and he's giving him his life, his heart. He's there like to support him every day. And that's the most important. Doesn't matter how good you are, your technique. And this is, I mean, especially for kids, I don't know, from 8 to 18 or what, you need the technique. You need to teach them how to hold the racket and play. And that's for sure, this 10, 20%, that's for sure. But, I mean, today in sports, the mentality is so important. The sports that the coach needs to put in the player this mentality skills of fighting and not giving up and dedicate to what you do. To those things that the coach needs to put in his player. And those things you don't need to be a great player or a top player, ex-player, or you don't need to be, I don't know what. Anybody can have it. It's just about the passion that you have for what you do. And it's not just in tennis, it's in whatever you do in life. It's just this passion that you need. And when you have this passion, you're going to succeed, because you can't fail. You just don't feel ever that you fail. You just know that you love what you do. And I don't know, just that's the way it is. And,
so is coaching in your future, do you think?
Well, you know what? You talked about it in the beginning. At the moment, I went to technology, and I'm trying to create a world ranking system for amateur players. This is what I do today. And I stayed in tennis, and I'm trying to bring some technology, fashion. I'm trying to bring some nice, fun things to tennis that are missing, because technology we can see in basketball a little bit, we can see in the NFL, NHL, NBA, but in tennis we miss it a little bit. We're still a little bit old-fashioned with all kind of technology. So this is something that I'm trying to do. And yes, of course, you need to bring this energy to whatever you do. Coaching, I'm doing 20% of my time now in Israel. It's something that it's very important for me, to help the young generation and to be with them on court, not to teach them forehand and backhand, because there are great coaches in Israel that can do that. I just want them to be around me and to feel this energy, to practice good practice, so that each practice will be 100% and not just to go on court and to put a V, I call it, just, okay, it's okay. A practice should be a practice, a good quality practice. It doesn't have to be 3 hours. It can be one good quality hour. It doesn't have to be long. It's not the quantity, it's quality. And this is something very important that a lot of coaches, they put like, let's practice 3, 4. That's not right. I mean, the quality is important, not to miss one shot. Take one ball, practice 1 hour with one ball. It's very effective. Then just practice 3 hours and miss every 2-3 shots. So, I mean, this is my passion, one of my passions now. I wanted to rest because I retired like almost 6 months ago. I wanted to do something different, to try something different, to put myself some different goals. And, tennis is something that I will always stay, like even now with the technology, and it's still involved with tennis. And, to say I will never go back to tennis, it's the stupidest thing ever, because I see the top players around me, they all came back to tennis. If it's Ivan Lendl, which is a great legend, he wasn't in tennis for 20 years, and then he had this feeling he wanted, the excitement to be back again, and he was traveling. And then you can take Becker, and you can take Edberg, and you can take the top players. Even the Israeli Amos Manzov went to do some money business in diamonds. He did well, and now he's back in tennis, trying to help some kids. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the sport is a passion. It's something that, I mean, you can't take it out of you. It's, it's just like you do it. I did it since I was 5, so it will be always in me. It's something that's feeling when you go on the court and you feel the players or you see the crowd. It's a great feeling, and I'm sure in some way I'm going to still be involved with tennis all my life. At the moment, 80% of my time I'm really putting effort on changing the world. I wish this is my dream. If I had a dream as a kid, being at Wimbledon, play Davis Cup. So now different dream is like really putting this pulse play all over the world and make a kind of a social media for racket sports. Like social, not social media, social kind of an environment to find players at your level, and it's something big that I'm trying to work on. And I have this 20% that I keep for my passion for kids to develop the next generation in Israel, which now at the moment we don't have so many good juniors, and it's something that I'm trying to work with the tennis centers here, with the federation. I'm trying to create something, a nice program together, and that's it basically.
That's great to hear. Well, I wrote an article on Pulse Play for ParentingAces.com about a week and a half ago and gave a little bit of information, but do you want to tell us some more about Pulse Play and how it came to be?
And basically, when I traveled like 8 months a year, right, I was traveling all over the world. I saw many clubs, many amateur players. I realized there are two problems. The first one, the amateur players, they forget the score. They fight. They have 1 hour, they run the court, and for 15 minutes they argue for 15-30, no, 30-15, no, I won the point, no, you win, I won. So this is the first problem. The second problem I realized was that the players, most of the players, they have 2, 3, 4 friends they're playing with, and they don't know any other players at their level. And nobody likes to win 6-love or lose 6-love. When you want to play with somebody, it's like you want him to be at your level. And this is something I try to create, and I realize it's kind of everywhere I go and I talk to some amateur players, it's a problem they have. And this is why I came up with Pulse Play. It's a simple wearable device that each one of us gonna wear during a match. Whoever gonna win the point, gonna press the button, and it's gonna sync to an app on the side of the court, which gonna be our scoreboard, as well as I'm gonna put in the clubs, tennis club I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put a big scoreboard, So you're gonna enter a tennis club, and you're gonna see 2 friends. Doesn't matter if they are your friends or not. You're gonna just walk in the club, and you're gonna see suddenly the results. They're playing a match or a set, and you're gonna see 5-2. Suddenly, like you're walking up in a Grand Slam, in the French Open, US Open. You're gonna see their score live on the screen. So this is the first thing. And then once I have all those results, I brought some other fun features from the professional world. I brought an announcer. When I used to play Wimbledon, I always had somebody calling the score for me. I had the Wimbledon announcer, 30-15, with the British accent, which I wish I could say it now, the accent. But so I brought some 50 different announcers to be calling your match. For example, one of them is Obama. My dream was Obama. I imagine myself playing with my partner at tennis, and Obama is calling my score, 15-love. So that was a fun
fantastic.
feature. The match history. Another fun feature is the match history that I brought. When I used to play Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, the top guy, doesn't matter who I played, before the match I had the match history. Andy, you won 6-love, Andy, you lost 6, whatever, So that's something that I want to bring to the amateur world, So you're gonna have each one gonna have a record of the matches, and so those are. And once I have all the matches, and I record all the matches on the app, I took a professor, and together we built a world ranking. At first, it's gonna be a local, just for me and my friends, a ranking. I'm gonna have the ranking for like inside the club. I'm gonna have a ranking inside my country, and it's gonna be international. So it's gonna be local, national, international ranking. So now if I go on vacation, Thailand, New York, anywhere, I'm gonna find somebody at my level to play with. So this is the idea of this startup, and we are working, a lot to just put you talked about it. We put up a campaign on Indiegogo. It's a website it's a kind of a crowdfunding campaign. We put up like a week now, and we are 75% already. We achieved our goal, 75%, which is a lot at this stage. People like it. People believe in it. We're looking now for investors, and we are on the right way to get them. We are just started 1 week now to bring the investors. They all love the idea. It's I don't know. It's something that's fun. You just see the results every day, and it's fun. When you see it, and it's kind of tennis, you have good meetings, so you're high, like a good win. Then the next day you have a bad meeting, it's like you have a loss, so you lose a little bit of your energy. So it's kind of I look at it as like a tennis game, So, and enjoying it a lot. I'm bringing the experience of like all the experience I had in in tennis and through my years. I'm bringing it to business now. You know, I'm running a great team of people. Each one is a genius in whatever he does. If it's in marketing, if it's in creative, and whatever, you know, design, technology. So I took I always used to play with a good player next to me, so I don't have to do much of the work. And,
I don't believe that for a second.
That's it.
Well,
yeah.
It will be very exciting to watch the development of Pulse Play.
Yeah,
I know
sure.
you guys have an Indiegogo campaign going, and we have a link to that on the article on ParentingAces.com. I know you have another interview to get to, so I don't want to keep you.
I would talk to you forever for sure, but we'll do it next time, another time. I mean, if people will have questions, parents, players, coaches, I mean, really love to answer all of them. So. We'll be in touch for sure.
Fantastic. Well, good luck to you.
You take all the questions for me, and we'll talk again.
Absolutely. That sounds great. Andy, thank you so much for being with us. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's a short show today. Andy's a busy guy, and I'm just so grateful that he could spend some time with us talking about his junior development and now his involvement with Pulse Play. I hope you'll go to ParentingAces.com and check out the article I wrote. It has a link to Pulse Play's Indiegogo site so you can read more about the project, and hey, you may even decide you want to invest in it. It's a pretty cool product, and I think it's very neat to see our top professional players staying involved in the sport and getting creative in the ways they're involved in the sport, not just through playing, not just through coaching, but now somebody like Andy getting involved on the technology side. So please go check that out, and thanks for tuning in. We have another great show for you next week with Jacques Dallaire, so I hope you'll tune in again next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. In the meantime, have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next week on Parenting Aces.